Welcome to No Room for Phonies.
Episode 163.
We're continuing the discussion about fathers in this episode by just talking about fatherhood. I don't know, I think in society fatherhood has just become a little bit of a mystery, and I'm not sure why it's been like that.
And to some degree, is fatherhood underrated? Are men opting out? Have we actually evolved in how we think about the role of fathers in society, or are we staying status quo?
And do fathers actually think about their fathering style? And do mothers sometimes hold fathers back from being their true
fathery stuff.
Self? Because I forget what they called it.
Mother keeping? No.
Some kind of gatekeeping that mothers sometimes do when they make fathers feel like they're not capable of doing anything. So anyway,
easily go, sure, I won't bother.
Anyway, I read about a bunch of these tips, and so I just thought we could talk about them and see which ones we kind of agreed with and which ones we thought were a little over the top, or just make our own, or which ones you feel that you really did well as a father, or that are kind of more most important, or whatever.
Yep, sounds good.
So the first one says just have fun, say I love you, hug them, praise them when they deserve it, enjoy them, laugh at them, try some foolishness.
Yeah, and I think dads in general are the ones who like to play with kids. I mean, yeah, I know moms do too, but
yeah.
Or there's a different approach to play. So definitely.
Usually with fathers, there's a bit more risk taking that is allowed. I mean, I like risky play. I mean, climbing rocks and doing all that sort of stuff. But
yeah, definitely.
I think we let our kids adventure and
we definitely I definitely hugged my sons often, and definitely used words of encouragement as well. Don't complain to your children about your life.
Yeah, I don't think we shielded them from when things were when we had emotion.
No.
And we definitely showed empathy to them when they were struggling. But
I didn't come home and complain about my job and
no.
The burden of having to provide
for them. And I think that's kind of it. And then fathers do need to work in some way or make a contribution to the household. I don't feel in this society you need to be the main breadwinner. But
we didn't do that.
No, but you can ensure that your household runs smoothly. You don't have to take a back seat, and you can have an opinion about stuff, which I think sometimes fathers don't. They just let the mother rule and decide and do all the things.
Yep.
And I think,
I mean, when I stayed home full time, I did the meals and kept up with the laundry and
I just think it's important.
The logistics of the household, because you worked 12 to 14-hour days, and it just really would have been ridiculous to expect you to pick up even more. Good advice. Don't do illegal drugs. Or even some of the legal ones.
Of any kind.
Of any kind.
No.
Stay sober.
Yeah.
And be a role model.
Yeah. And to me, social media has become a bit of a drug as well. Yeah. So I think you have to think about that too.
And it wasn't for us when our kids were young, so there wasn't a need to.
No.
I mean, we still had screens and video games, so definitely I role modeled reading. And
we talk about that
going outdoors and things like that.
And this one is teach your kids to respect government and laws and the right to vote and freedom of speech and religion and the right to representation and what democracy means. I think we really, especially now, have to teach our children that, because it's not as obvious as it used to be. Ontario, and definitely to vote.
In Ontario, Canada, there's a 10th grade course called Civics and Careers. And the curriculum is pathetic. And so we basically took over our children's civics education because we wanted our children to be curious and ask questions and not to just accept things at face value when it came to politics and voting and stuff.
Yeah. And then the reading part that you were referring to them, read with them, set aside time daily to read. Kids need to see you reading and writing. I remember our osteopath saying that at night, like they put on red lights and the kids all read at night. And even like this weekend when Charlotte was here and I got out my journal and I started writing, and then she wanted a journal.
Right.
So I got her a book and pen, and she was writing, and she was actually telling, well, in my journal, I'm telling everything that I'm doing. And so she was, pretend writing, but that's the kind of thing that you actually need to do with your kids.
A key current point is to supervise your children in the use of AI and model it as well, because it so quickly can take over your own ability to think and create, and it's easy to become dependent on it.
And then the playing of games together and puzzles and going bowling and mini putting and just finding ways to stay offline, because speaking of which,
I'm just turning off my notifications.
I think it's pretty easy for us to just settle in and let kids, play on computer or sit and watch TV. And so the creativity of doing stuff that isn't particularly necessarily expensive, but
nope. And also with game playing is learning to lose graciously and moderating competition, being competitive, things like that.
And then going along with that, don't go too easy on your kids when you're playing games together, because they do need to learn to lose.
Mm-hmm. And even though we had our kids take driver's ed, we both modeled driving carefully, driving with intent, following the rules, and I would be explicit and talk about what I was thinking and the decisions I was making on the road, and calling out bad behavior of other drivers, and definitely not texting and driving.
Yeah. And make sure your children understand the basis of budgeting and spending, and try not to obsess or complain about money, even though I think now it's pretty hard because things are so expensive and it's hard to make.
Well, and I think though, while the kids don't have to be there about every financial discussion, I think it doesn't hurt them to start learning the value of hours worked and having to set aside money, saving.
Well, we would say you made like $10 an hour and you went to McDonald's and you blew that in one fell swoop.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't really big on fast foods, so we didn't eat a lot of it. But
the high school, the lunches, they would blow one hour's worth of work and one one lunch.
Yeah.
And we had to kind of
point
that out.
We did. Be positive. Your problems are not your children's problems. And
sometimes that's
like certain things have to be talked about, but you want to talk about things as much as you can in non-judgmental ways, especially if you're saying, someone else is causing you a problem or making a choice that's impacting your life. You have to just be careful about not running other people down. I think that's really important.
Next one says to allow them to research and explore their own feelings about God and religion. Atheism is its own kind of faith, and consider joining a religious group. Well, I'm not 100% sure that with young children, it's a good idea to let them explore.
Yeah, I was kind of...
I think, we set our tone for our family and talked about moral code and faith.
And I think
once they got older, we were more accepting of their questions. And
well, I also think that it's a mistake to let your children feel that if you go to church and if you follow the rules at church and you become part of that, that will, then you'll that all those people in that church building are good people,
right?
Because that's
that answers everything.
The
code.
That if a religious group says that something is wrong, then it's wrong, because it's not necessarily wrong.
Right. That's where we brought up the questioning part.
Yeah, the moral code, just because.
But when they're young, I don't think, like when they're
No, I think when they're little, and I mean, whether you take your kids to church or whether you don't, I mean, I think that your obligation is to stretch their minds and let them, you can read about things and share about things and expose them to things. You don't have to like immerse yourself in a church.
No,
you can.
I mean, I have met adults who were frustrated that their parents gave them no guidance.
Yes.
And were hurt that their parents hadn't had any spine to make a decision and make a choice about, like they waffled about everything. And I think that that's frustrating for.
Yeah. I mean, I think for, in a lot of cases, okay, you grew up Catholic, so you go to a Catholic church. And I mean, to me, when I look at the Catholic Church, there's not much of a commitment there. You go when you want to a mass, but it's not required of you to serve like in the church. Mm-hmm. In more Protestant churches, then you're asked to teach Sunday school or serve on boards. There's a lot of volunteerism. And I think you just have to be careful of getting sucked into that, especially if you're a young parent, because now you're spending more time away from home, going to meetings. And so it's a balance, right? But I mean, we believe that children should know and understand that there is a God, that many people believe there is a God, and have the opportunity to have those experiences.
Oh, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, this guy, well, I've read.
You were taking from several sources.
Yeah. So this particular person is like, reject gentle parenting, and his idea of gentle parenting is treating your children as equals.
So he said to avoid treating your children.
Yeah. So whether you call that gentle parenting or not, and he just feels that you need to teach your children that life has rules without shaming them. Mm-hmm. And you need to recognize what your kids can control and what they can't control. And we see this in some parents, right? Like they're letting their kids control things that they shouldn't let them control. And then you continue to raise the bar as they age. And his feeling is that there really is not an excuse for unacceptable behavior. You don't say, oh, they're tired, they're hungry, they're angry, they're frustrated.
And let it be an excuse.
And let it be be
permissive.
Be permissive. No. And to always talk about choices and not to give, kids age appropriate.
When kids were hangry because we got busy with errands, we didn't punish
and
them
yesterday the kids were
our kids. We didn't punish them for being hangry.
We fed them.
We fed them.
Yeah, and I mean last night with the kids, they were getting hungry, but I planned supper for 5:00.
Yeah.
I didn't plan it for 6 or 6:30 or even 5:30.
Right.
I planned it that we could eat because I knew they would be hungry. And I think that's where it comes, that you're always reasonable and you listen. Mm-hmm. But rules do produce structure, and structure is actually comforting to kids. And negotiating on things that matter, not negotiating on things that matter, or when a child is begging or whining. That is where you get into.
We shut down the whining.
I've seen the giving in because the kids are whining, and then it's just easier to say.
And for dads, a lot of dads want to be the good guy or the nice guy, and I think that in the end isn't a healthy way to.
And sometimes it's hard to think, okay, 2 short years ago my kid was 2, but now they're 4. Mm-hmm. And 2 short years ago my kid was 10, but now they're 13. Yeah. And you have to keep raising the bar. And I think we did that with our kids. Mm-hmm. We raised the bar a lot. And I was not a person who wanted to keep my kids babied.
No.
So I celebrated the independence and the growing up. Right. And I didn't really I didn't feel like I was missing out.
I don't know if it's one of the topics, but the other thing we were very careful about was labels. So nicknames. Yeah. Nicknames and terms of endearment.
Yeah.
You pick very carefully. If you call your child babe or baby, and then they're 12 years old and you're still calling them baby, you might actually have an immature.
Yeah, it's just it's a little bit of a your kids are always your babies. They were your babies. It's just important that you balance that with helping them become independent as well. And then the other one is that children are resilient, so you need to handle them that way. And that's the whole thing about bubble wrapping them, and they actually have a natural ability to grow and heal, as we all do.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to kind of remember that when things are hitting us hard, that we will grow and we will heal and we will get through it.
Next, a child should never be encouraged to behave for the purpose of influencing their parents' feelings. So don't manipulate your children and say, oh, mommy's sad, or dad, well, this is about fathering. So, dad's sad or dad's tired because of how you're acting. And, I'm angry because of how you've been carrying on. So don't blackmail them emotionally.
I think it's fine to say that, things like, your whine, you need to stop whining, because whining makes it uncomfortable for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel uncomfortable and you can talk
disappointed,
but disappointment, like, I'm disappointed in your behavior right now because I know that you can make better choices than that.
Don't scare kids about existential future of humanity issues.
Watch and watch what they are exposed to in the media. Like, find age-appropriate ways and positive ways to talk about pandemics and climate change and violence and crime. And I mean,
it's not time to take your conservative or liberal agenda and inculcate that into your kids' heads.
No, I think you have to say things like, society, there's smart people in the world. We're going to get this solved. These are the this is how the world works, and sometimes we have to just be patient and wait for a problem to be solved, but not to act like, it's doomsday and we're done, kind of a thing. But
on the other hand,
you should scare your kids about drugs and alcohol.
And we did. We talked about the dangers of both, of overuse of alcohol and he's
talking about the idea that we embrace light. We don't escape it, because drugs and alcohol mask the kinds of things that we want to be dealing with as people, and
avoid the misdiagnosis or overdiagnosis of ADHD, especially for boys.
I think I noticed that as and sometimes you've got teachers who are saying, he just needs a little something because he's not concentrating, or this is happening or that is happening. And I think we have to encourage lots of movement and free play, and be very careful that the environment in the school isn't causing the ADHD by not allowing.
By no stimulation.
Well, and the book that I reading about productivity, and how, you need to take breaks from thinking and doing and stuff to be more productive, needs to maybe be incorporated a bit into how we plan school.
Compared to how when you taught with activity centers in your classrooms, and there was a lot of movement around the room and change of focus, compared to going back to the rows of children in desks. And lots
of pencil and paper, and whatever happened to STEM and STEAM and all these other things that are supposed to motivate. So I think you just need to be very careful. And number 19, this is obviously for young, but don't complain when, but support your postpartum wife. Just support.
Particularly if there's older children that are watching you.
Or even if they've just had a little baby. Like it's a.
No, I'm not saying that gives him license to complain.
No.
There's no other child that's going to hear.
No, but
the wife,
even your wife needs that support. And then I like this one. It's just funny because I'm not a big fan of Halloween.
I'm a complete.
But Halloween is for your kids and not for you, so you can indulge them in their.
Or just not celebrated at all.
Bah humbug.
I hate Halloween.
This one is so important. Is like to spending lots of time outdoors and try new things, and we did. we did that a lot.
For you, it came easily. For me, it was always a drag, but I did get them into their snowsuits and go outside in the winter every day, at least for an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah, it's
Unless it was like minus 25 degrees.
No.
We were out there getting some fresh air.
And they also talk about the fact that it's okay to get angry justifiably. It's fine, especially where risk or danger is concerned, and as long as your anger is under control. Being irritated with your kids is not anger, and it does happen. You do get irritated with your kids. I think some of this social media stuff paints the picture that we're just hunky-dory. And when you are getting irritated with your kids, it usually tells you that a routine needs to change or you need to enforce some kind of boundaries, because if you're getting irritated with them over certain things, it is telling you that you might need to reevaluate something.
Day in, day out. Yeah.
Like,
when it comes to discipline, don't make empty threats. Know what your kid's currency is and use these as consequences. If you threaten, follow through. Actions have consequences. I'm remembering the time I threatened to take away Christmas, and that didn't go well with you.
It's like, really? We're taking it all away. Yeah.
We can't really,
but that's where your anger and irritability kind of gets out of control, and it happens, but then you apologize to your kids.
I don't know if it's on the list, but we did a lot of apologizing.
Yeah, it's not really, but have more than one child if you can, and do not let your kids bully each other, because it should be feeling that your family is there standing against anything else.
Yeah.
And don't be upset if your kids laugh at you. Just laugh with them and give them plenty of rope. That's fine.
Encourage your kids to play competitive sports. Teach them to be team players and to be positive and encouraging, and always a good sport. And do not put them under pressure, like yelling at them from the sidelines and criticizing their performance.
I mean, you can know what your child is capable of.
There's a coaching moment, but not like putting them down.
There's a difference between screaming from the sidelines and coaching.
Well, and kids want their dads to be proud of them, and they will bend over backwards trying to get their father to compliment them and to be proud. So if you come across as negative, that wound will linger and stay longer, and will take a lot of compliments to undo.
Yeah. We just want to get them out of the house and experiencing different people and different perspectives. And then it says, don't lie, especially about death. You can withhold some information age appropriately, but you shouldn't be lying. Yeah. Be charitable and make charity a part of your kids' lives. Donate, volunteer, and then don't be showy about it. And because of the kind of jobs I had, my kids were exposed to like Christmas hampers and giving time and doing all kinds of things that because when I was working in poor, and even when I was working in wealthier communities, I was getting those kids to donate to poorer communities. So our kids were kind of exposed to a lot of that, maybe too much.
And as a dad, stick with your wife or come up with the rules for bedtime, and definitely stick to those rules, and make sure that there is a routine that you as a dad are involved in. Don't leave it all to your wife to take care of.
And don't let your kids divide you as far as like behaviors. You need to present a united front and not be arguing about what you agreeing on.
Different areas.
Our kids very rarely
they would
pitted each other against. Pitted us again.
They tried and got in trouble for it because we called them on it. Even though sometimes we weren't on the same page about it, and they knew that we're using that against us.
Yes, but
we had to swallow our disagreement and be on the same page.
Yeah. Take your children grocery shopping and have them help bring it in and put it away. That seems pretty but when this is for a dad, dads can grocery shop too, and they can take the kids, and they can. And I know, I think that this is a thing where mothers have to let go.
This is definitely a gatekeeping.
Because dad will come home with something that
wasn't on the list.
Or whatever. Maybe dad can make the list. There was a lot of talk about getting a pet of some kind and encouraging people.
We happened to get a dog.
At certain time.
Rabbits too.
I don't know. I think that's just a very personal thing. But the next one is not. That kids should have chores for sure.
And age appropriate ones, and like as simple as carrying plates from the table to the kitchen, you know, shutting the shower curtain and hanging up the towels and the mats after bath time, like whatever.
They can definitely carry their clothes down and put them in the laundry room.
Mm-hmm. And
they can unload dishwasher.
Young to sort laundry safe properly and run the load.
Yeah. Don't be a clothes horse and don't worry too much about your looks. And this is kind of encouraging dads to avoid this status and brands. And a lot of the people that I read said, like, if you have to have a certain status or a certain brand, it does show that you're a little bit insecure.
Yeah. Well, I only cared for 401 jeans. Other than that, I really didn't care about brand.
Yeah.
But
I mean, sometimes it's about what fits you and works for you. But
it wasn't. I think we made it pretty clear that, this fall we're going to shop at Walmart. Next fall we're going to shop at Sears. Just so that there's a different selection of clothes, but it was always...
And a couple of times we took them to the States when that was a thing and it made sense. Also...
we didn't buy the big brands.
And then this one is so important: to stay in shape, to exercise, to eat well, to have a healthy mind and in a healthy body, and like to set an example
of one where
that.
I really didn't set an example. My father set zero example of staying in shape except walking. He walked all the time, but I didn't have a gym habit. I didn't have an exercise routine. The only thing was in the good weather when we went cycling or hiking together.
Yeah.
I did not set a good example. Fortunately, both of our sons are engaged in healthy fitness practices.
And then it cherished grandparents. Our kids really didn't have grandparents because they passed. I mean, but we did. Your mom, our boys always went to see her even when she was in the home, and we respected our elderly friends and were kind to them. And so I mean, we definitely did that. We didn't have the same kind of grandparent stuff that other kids did. And this one is a tough one.
And it's kind of more current. We didn't have this topic.
Yeah. Like the transgender issues should be talked about at home, and the idea that you can love who you love, but not to randomly pretend you are the opposite sex, and not to kind of get caught up in that.
We're concerned with the number of young children or even teenagers who think it's cool to have, because teenagers are setting their identity and figuring out who they are to be different from the crowd, although they like to fit in the crowd.
So, I mean, this is a really touchy topic because of the way society is now, but I think I would recommend that if your kid is going down that path, that you look for a really high-end doctor and counselor, and that your whole family get involved in trying to figure that out, because it's a really life-altering decision, and so you just want to be careful, I think.
I mean, what we did with our children, the topic of the day was just gay or
well, we didn't.
And we just talked about being accepting.
Yeah, and our kids were very accepting of whomever at whatever point they were. I would want to make sure that my kid had the right kind of counseling, and that the actual operations or treatments or whatever didn't start happening too young. But and this one is spend as much time with your kids as possible, just hanging out, listening, paying attention, asking questions,
and stay off
your phone.
And
then this
isn't one just for dads. This is parents in general.
Yeah, but he's talking about fathers focusing in on these kinds of things because mothers talk about these things a lot. I don't know how,
well, going back to the other topic of a lot of men aren't talking to each other. So, it ends up often being the mothers who are talking to each other about these concerns. So avoid giving your kids phones or tablets until high school, based on the anxious generation.
And this is the place where you do bubble wrap your kids.
Yep.
Because often we bubble wrap them out in the world, but then we let them wild online, and it just...
So Our kids did not have laptops in their bedrooms or devices, and their phones back in the day were just the texting kind. They didn't have smartphones. We found out that one of our sons figured out how his digital reader could hook up to the internet.
Yeah. So you have to
there
be
weren't pictures. I mean, it was just text.
Yeah, but you have to be really careful and be really monitoring
and you
things.
need to be savvy about. Well, back in the day, it was just your browser's history, and and now now there's a lot more to know about
absolutely.
all the workarounds that there are.
But handing your kid when they're like in grade 3, like a phone where they have access to. We were just talking about this yesterday, where if you are worried about like safety, a watch is actually a better thing because they can call from a watch, but they can't go searching for anything. So it's actually a safer kind of a thing. And this is for dads. Dads should cook dinner regularly, make meals, and get the kids to help, and just say this is not exclusively what moms, and we definitely model that.
And there's also a lot of women who gatekeep and keep the dads out of the kitchen and say,
or make them think,
insult their efforts.
Or this is a dad meal and it's always spaghetti and whatever, whereas dad,
Yeah, and it becomes a joke, but it's still, it sets the tone for cultural
and dads can cook just as well as mothers. There's not a big. And then this was interesting to me. Be careful about therapy. Do your research and always find a person that is right for you. And I agree with that. I think there's a lot.
And I think I know that therapists have to start somewhere. They have to start when they're young and whatever, but I think somebody with lived experience will be a more successful therapist in many cases, not all, but
well, and you just want to make sure they're just not right off the rails as far as certain things that are within your moral compass.
And then also generationally, some of them are swayed by cultural influences and tend to lean one way pretty strongly or the other. So you just have to find somebody who's reached a more level of moderation.
Yeah. I think it's right to do research on a therapist, and don't be afraid to let your kids know if they've taught you something, because kind of models lifelong learning, and it's good to share these kinds of things. I mean, our kids now as
you're adults,
they know a lot of things that we don't know or understand, so you can have some pretty interesting conversations with people. Teach your kids as a dad to cheer on other people regularly. We don't want any schadenfreude where we, are at people because they're successful.
Yeah. So, and racism is inherited from mostly fathers' behaviors. So you're modeling the attitudes that your children acquire.
So that's the cultural. And then be aware of their cultural references, but you don't have to act younger than you are. Like, you don't have to pretend that you like whatever, but you have to be aware, because some cultural references are not great. You don't want your kids exposed to them.
I mean, a lot of it, because of language, I was kind of staying on top of generational language differences because I needed to teach it to my younger students. So I kind of...
And I did, because I knew what was going on in schools.
What's going on in schools. But now when I hear the alpha generation talk, it's like...
But the idea of brands and status, no matter how much money you have, if you focus on status and brands, it's a pretty shallow way to live your life. So that they're encouraging that. And
just like matters of faith, do not influence or impose your politics on them. Encourage them to question assumptions and teach them how to think and not what to think. I mean, we were a very
more independent style of...
But we loved discussing politics and bantering about ideas. But we are independents. We have voted probably for every political party there is in Canada.
Yeah.
Based on who the leaders were and the values that they showed.
And it's becoming more and more difficult, right? But we won't get into that. No bullying.
Do not allow bullying of any kind, and don't be a bully yourself. Don't bully your own kids, and don't bully your wife, and don't bully people in the community.
And
often,
kind
first, and be kind to everyone.
And I think sometimes that's where drug and alcohol abuse come in, where men are, they have a few beers and then they start mouthing off. And so that kind of modeling, that kind of behavior is bad.
Definitely.
And then the snowplow, I like this idea. Don't snowplow for your kids by solving their problems or assuming they're always right.
Definitely don't assume
we didn't
they're
do
always
that
right.
For sure. Make sure you have the whole facts and the whole story before you jump in, and never do the work for them. Failure and disappointment are part of life, and let your kids understand they need to fight hard and do their best even when the game is rigged, which I thought was
very interesting, because the game of life often appears like it is rigged.
It's definitely rigged. It appears that way anyway. And never pathologize normal anxiety or fear or whatever.
All of them are legitimate emotions that arise
at certain times.
And then it's just a matter of acknowledging them and exploring the cause without making it an identity that they have to espouse. Right. Like, oh, you are a worrier,
or you are anxious.
Yeah.
And that's really the label. That's the label. Because we had one child that really went through a period where he was very anxious. And we gave strategies, and we said, actually, this situation, it's legitimate that you are feeling anxious. Like, that is legitimate. And we recognized it.
And we also said it couldn't be changed a matter of overnight. It was going to take time.
Yeah. And we helped sort through it. Travel. Don't use phones or tablets when you're traveling. You don't have to go somewhere expensive.
My GPS all the time.
No, but I mean, kids, take a picnic. Like, it doesn't have to be an expensive kind of a thing. You can go take a picnic to another city, go see something different.
Yep.
But you want kids to be looking out the window, and I think sometimes it's just easy to turn on the...
No, and we didn't have cars with DVD players.
No, at all. And then that whole thing about letting your kids explore on their own and trusting them. And it's difficult to trust the world, but I think within reason... You need to.
And you give them strategies for stranger danger. And I mean, our son was 10 when we let him walk across a major city street to go to the corner store and buy something and walk home and get groceries for us.
Yeah.
And, but he needed that independence.
Yeah. And I mean, there's whatever to it all, but I think you just have to figure it out and be reasonable. And I mean, I think you have to be very careful about what home you let your kids into, but it's just, I think we know in our hearts what's the right thing and what is the wrong thing as parents. And it's just so easy to go over the top and do all that bubble wrapping in the world.
Right.
And then instead of having them out exploring, then they're sitting on a tablet or on their phone and they're not.
And I don't know if it's really a father-mother thing. It wasn't for us, but I know in many cases, women are the ones that want to bubble wrap and men are the ones that are supposed to call your children out into their independence, into themselves.
And I think it's also difficult because different families have different standards. And so one kid will ask your kid to do something with them, and it's not something that you're prepared to do. But you stop and consider it, and then you actually know in your head why you won't. Like, it's a matter of like actually, taking that moment to reflect and go, no, what I'm thinking is reasonable. They shouldn't be doing that.
Exactly.
And explaining that to your kid. Like, no, you're not the right age to be doing whatever. Or you can do that, but we're going to be... Like, sometimes it's fun to take your kids to the movies and the kids can all sit and you're either sitting outside reading a book or you're in the back of the theater, and it's a way to kind of introduce that independence without totally going off the, doing what's comfortable, especially within the world that we live in, right? So that's
those are the 50 topics for dads to think about and consider.
Yeah, I think it's very important to do the dad thing and draw people's attention to it, because moms, I don't know, there's a lot of attention given to moms about, and I think a lot of these things, what I found interesting, they actually apply to moms and dads, but it's a reminder that moms and dads are basically the same. Like they can all do the same things.
All do the same things.
So yeah, so there we have it.
A lot of dads take the back seat because culture gives them permission to do so.
So on July 15th, we're going to start talking about worldviews, 20 ways to see the world. And a worldview is the foundational lens through which you interpret reality and determine your purpose, values, and actions. And so it's built upon the philosophical, spiritual, and existential answers you give to ultimate questions of life. So I thought it would be, in these times of elections and the craziness of the world, I think it's really important to talk about your worldview and have that in your head, so that when things happen, you don't just kind of start drifting down the slippery slope and go, well, I guess that's just the way it is now.
Right. Or I've always done it this way, and something happens and you're like, I'm not sure I should do this, but you let yourself go with the flow anyway.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just, this is a time for establishing and knowing what your worldview is. So I thought it was important to talk about. So that's where we're going next time. And thanks for joining us to talk in June about dads and men and
fatherhood.
Yeah. And if you haven't read the book Notes on Being a Man, I would really recommend that you dive into that book. It's really gives you
Scott Galloway talks about fatherhood a lot in that book as well.
So thanks for joining us on No Room for Phonies, Tips for Dads.
Good afternoon.